Good morning, everyone. We're the group of Thailand, and we'll be presenting the history of Thailand. So, just a little bit of introduction about Thailand. So, Thailand is a culturally diverse nation that strives to maintain its lineage through its architectural forms. Thailand's architecture is actually influenced by the traditional design influences of its Asian neighbors, so such as Indian, Khmer, Burmese, and Chinese architectural style. However, due to its creative and unique use of vibrant colors, as well as ornate decorations and sweeping mosaic roofs, Thailand's architecture is easily distinguishable from the rest of its Asian neighbors. All right, so we're moving to geography. Next slide, please. All right, so Thailand is located in the middle part of the Southeast Asia. So it is considered as the second largest country in Southeast Asia. It is big as the country of Spain. Thailand's geography is composed of a water area of 2,230 square kilometers and a land area of 510,890 square kilometers, with a total land area of 514,000 square kilometers. So, next. All right. So topograpically, Thailand has a variety of landscape of forested mountains. So there are more on mountain ranges, dry plateaus, fertile river plains, and sandy beaches. So these mountains actually ranges cut through the country in half from north to south and extended along the borders of several neighboring countries, such as Myanmar, which is found in the north and west of Thailand, Laos, which is found on the other side of the long stretch of the Mekong River in the north and east, and lastly, the Mekong River and the mountains of Dong Rak form the border to Cambodia in the east and Malaysia in the south. Next slide. All right, so Thailand consists of 76 political provinces that are divided by the four major regions that are completely geographically different from each other. So in the west, along the border to Myanmar, the forested mountain that extends to the north is called Doi Insanon, which is the highest mountain in the north as it rises to 1,565 meters above sea level. And the next one is we have in the northeast at the border of Laos at the Mekong River, the Korat Plateau is found. This extends in the south towards the borders of Cambodia, except for Bangkok. The eastern region is the most populated area in the northeast, as this has one third of Thailand's population living here. Uh, Third one is the geographical center of Thailand. It is where the rice bowl of Asia. So it's known as rice bowl of Asia because Thailand is known for the rice that is being grown in Thailand. So it is found as this region consists of lowlands and the long rivers of Chao Phraya that supplies water to the wide rice fields. So this river flows through Bangkok and flows into the Gulf of Thailand at the end. And then lastly, in the southern part of Thailand, the long range of western mountains in the northern and central parts also extend to this part. In the direction of the Malaysian Peninsula, Thailand is between the Andaman Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. So along the coast, there are many historical attractions, national parks, wildlife, amazing forests, waterfalls, and beaches. Next slide. All right, so now we'll be talking about the geology of Thailand. So located in the Southeast Asia, the Thailand lies in the Indo-Chinese Peninsula, bounded by its immediate neighbors of Myanmar to the north and west, Laos to the north and east. So Cambodia to the southeast, and then Malaysia to the southern part of the country. So Thailand has a numerous active faults, mostly in the northern or western part of the country, so resulting in the mountain ranges like Dang Rek and Chagun, Sao Na, and Thai Highland. So unlike in the Ring of Fire, Thailand is relatively safe regarding strong earthquakes despite having numerous tremors, so about 8 times once every 5 years. So Thailand has experienced only mid-sized earthquake with a magnitude of 5.0 to 5.9. All right, so there are four regions of Thailand, which is North, Lanna, Central, Siam, East, Isan, and Southern Thailand, Tambramina. So Central Thailand is actually covered by an alluvial plain, where rice growing area and the Mekong Delta River is surrounded by clay soils of high to moderate fertility. Yeah. All right, and then Thailand actually has three seasons: summer or hot seasons, rainy season, and winter season during the rainy or monsoon season. So, which occurs between July and October. So, Thailand is likely to experience typhoons on the east coast and cyclones in the southwestern part of the country. It is situated near the Indian Ocean in East Asian Pacific Ocean. So, typically, they say that Thailand is prone to floods, and also because it's a regular natural disaster that happens nearly every year during monsoon season. So geographically speaking, northern Thailand is a hill country. One of the causes of the flood is the water from the northern rivers such as Ping, Wang, Yong, Yom, and Nan flows down to the Chao Phraya River, which is located in central Thailand, which consists of heavily dissected rolling plains and a low-lying flood plain. Next slide, please. Climate. So, Thailand's climate is under the influence of seasonal monsoon winds, such as the southwest monsoon and the northeast monsoon. So, the southwest monsoon begins in May, bringing warm and moist air from the Indian Ocean to Thailand. So, as a result, heavy rain fell all over the country, especially on the windward side of the mountains. Precipitation during this period is not only in the southwest monsoon, but also in the intertropical convergence zones, also known as the ITCZ, and tropical cyclones rainfall. So around May is the time when the ITCZ first arrived in the south. It is moving fast to the north and can be seen throughout southern China around June to early July. That is the reason for the dry season in Upper Thailand. So the intertropical convergence zone then moves southward to cover it. So around August in northern and northeastern Thailand, then in central Thailand, southern September or October. So the beginning of the northeast monsoon of around October brings cold, dry air from the high pressure throughout mainland China, parts of Thailand, especially the northern and the northeastern part of high latitude. So in the south, this monsoon causes mild weather and heavy rains along the east coast. The beginning of the monsoon is somewhat different. The southwest monsoon usually starts in around mid-May to mid-October, but the northeast monsoon usually begins in the mid-October and it will end around mid-February. Next slide, please. All right, so the history of Thailand has been categorized into different historical periods, which is shown in slides right now. We're talking about Nanchao, which is around 650 to 1250 AD. So Nanchao, located on the southwestern border of China's Tang Empire, Nanchao served as a buffer for and later rival to China. So the Thai originally lived in Nanchao. The state of Nanchao played a key role in Thai development. So in the mid 7th century AD, the Chinese Tang dynasty, threatened by powerful Western neighbors like Tibet, sought to secure its southwestern borders by fostering the growth of a friendly state formed by the people they called Man, also known as Southern barbarians, in the Yunnan region. So this state was known as um, Nanchao. This is additional information about Nanchao period. The Thai people founded their kingdom in the southern part of China, which is Yunnan, Guangxi, and Canton today. Yeah, next slide, please. Now we'll be talking about the Sukhothai, which is around 1238 to 1378 AD. So Sukhothai was the capital of the first kingdom of Siam in the 13th and 14th century. It was founded in the mid 13th century when a local Thai ruler led a revolt against Mer rule. It remained only a small local power until its third ruler, Ramthame Ram Kam Heng inherited the kingdom around 1279. It has several fine monuments illustrating the beginnings of the Thai architecture. The great civilization which evolved in the kingdom of Sukhothai absorbed numerous influences and ancient local traditions. So the rapid assimilation of these elements forged what is known as the Sukhothai style. Next slide. Okay, next slide, Ayutthaya, which is around 1350 to 767 AD. So during the 14th to 18th centuries, the historic city of Ayutthaya flourished to be one of the world's largest and most cosmopolitan urban regions, as well as a hub of global diplomacy and trade. So the city of Ayutthaya was ideally situated on an island surrounded by three rivers that eventually led to the sea. So this location was above the tidal bore of the Gulf of Siam, and it was at the time preventing the city from being attacked by the other nations. So it is causes of protection. Seagoing warships, moreover, the location also aided in the protecting the city from seasonal flooding. Next slide, please. All right, so Bangkok, which is around 1782 to present time. So as they had in the 16th century, sorry, the time made a rapid recovery under a real military leader. Taksin had slipped away from besieged Ayutthaya and starting with a handful of followers who quickly grew into an army. So he would organize a resistance to the Burmese invaders, driving them out after a long and arduous war. All right, so just by around 17 to 76, Taksin had reunited the Thai kingdom, which had fragmented into small states after the fall of the old capital, and had annexed Chiang Mai. Taksin, who eventually developed delusions of his own divinity, was disposed and executed by his ministers, invoking the interest of the state. Next slide, please. All right, so religion. The most abundant forms of religion found in Thailand are Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, and Sikhism. So as of 2018, Buddhism is the dominant religion in Thailand with a 93% of the population, and Islam ranks second with 5.37 to be exact, and then Christianity is the third with 1.30%, and others with 0.02% of the population. Next slide.
Next is the culture and tradition of Thailand. Siam, now called Thailand, was the only Southeast Asian country that was never colonized by the Europeans. Thailand has a diverse mixture of people and cultures as people from neighboring countries such as China, Laos, Myanmar, Malaysia, and Tibet have arrived in Thailand. Thais are known for their friendly and hospitable qualities, which led them to adopt the name Land of the Smiles. Next, please. In the early history of Thailand, people usually settled along the rivers and canals. The central region was located on floodplains, making people more dependent on water. Since rivers and canals are the most common channels of transportation for people and goods, raft houses and floating houses were created. Living in raft houses is convenient as residents were able to perform daily activities during floods. Not only does it provide them to live, but it is also great for exchanging goods to earn a living. Next, please. Now, the architectural character. Many of Thailand's best temples, palaces, and other notable buildings, like much of the country's cultural expression, reflect influences from other numerous cultures while remaining distinctly Thai. Thai architectural design has been influenced by Indian, Khmer, Burmese, and even Chinese architectural styles over the ages. But the bright colors, swooping multi-tiered roof lines, ornamental decorations, stunning interior murals, and lovingly crafted gold-adorned Buddha images that define the Thai style remain self-evident. Now let's proceed with the temple architecture. The temple, or wat, is the starting point for any study of Thai architecture. It serves as a school, community center, hospital, and entertainment venue, as well as a place of community worship and Buddhist lessons. In today's Thailand, there are around 32,000 temples. Thailand temples are characterized by the following: halls. Temple complexes can be large, such as Wat Pho in Bangkok, or small, as in most communities. A bot, which is an ordination hall, or or a Vaiharn, which is a Semon hall, are common features of temples of all sizes. Towers. A chidi otherwise known as a stupa or pagoda, is a dome-shaped tower that houses relics of the Buddha or other holy individuals. Ancillary structures. There will also be ancillary temple structures like a sala or an open-sided pavilion, guti or the monks' residential quarters, and the hotrai or the Buddhist scripture library. Chofa, the curling pointed extensions at each end that depict the Garuda, Vishnu's vehicle, are frequently used to decorate rooftops. Last is the symbolism of ornate decorations. Temple columns are frequently designed with water lilies or lotus buds at the ends to represent the Buddha's ideas the same manner that the lotus pushes through the mud to break forth in astonishing splendor. Relatively, the bot is constantly surrounded by 8 stones, which are thought to keep evil spirits at bay, demonstrating how animist beliefs and Buddhism may coexist. Next is the traditional houses. These are characterized by the following: stilts. Over time, the houses were built higher on stilts to protect them from flooding and wild animals, while also providing a place beneath them for livestock or everyday activities like weaving. In today's Thailand, such structures are ubiquitous in villages. However, in metropolitan areas, nearly all houses are more Western in style and firmly rooted to the ground with brick and mortar. Inward sloping walls and steep roofs. The earliest homes had steep roofs, sometimes multi-layered, like the temples that dominated rural life, with a few rooms or one enormous divided space elevated on pilings. Many of the components were pre-fabricated and then joined together using wooden pegs, and the buildings were positioned to shed rain and take advantage of the prevailing winds. Shorter pillars, absence of an external veranda, and windows with hinged shutters that closed from the top emerged in South Thailand, as to adapt during torrential monsoon rains. Next, please. Now let's proceed with the notable structures. The following are notable structures in Thailand that showcase and portray the essence of the aforementioned architectural characteristics of Thailand. First is the Prasat Hin Phimai. This temple known town is a famous example of Khmer architecture and reflects the city's prestige during the time it was constructed. Phimai's historical park, which was even built between the 11th and 12th centuries, encompasses some of Thailand's most stunning Khmer architecture and is the largest of all Khmer temples. The temple walls, which were predominantly built by Hindu monarchs, represent stories from the Ramayana and Mahabharata as well as episodes from Buddha's life. These are temples distinguishing elements forging a link between religious identities as a Buddhist temple. Next, please. Next is the Wat Rong Kun. Chalerm Chai Kositpipat, a Thai artist who made it his life's work to rebuild the decaying 20th century structure, designed and financed the Wat Rong Kun, also known as the White Temple. Although it is referred to as a temple, it is more of a privately held exhibit with Buddhist influences. While the color white reflects the Buddha's purity, the glass represents Dhamma, or his teachings. The building's interior is adorned with a number of sculptures, both conventional and contemporary, that showcase the artist's creativity in Thailand's culture. Next, please. Next is Wat Phra Kao. Wat Phra Kao, officially known as Wat Phra Siratana Sarsadaram, or the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, is Thailand's most sacred Buddhist shrine. The Buddha in question is carved from a single jade stone and stands around 66 centimeters tall. During King Rama the First's reign, it was enshrined at Wat Phra Kaw in 1782. The Wat Phra Kaw is made up of many structures that have gone through several stages of Ratanakosin or ancient Bangkok architectural style innovations. Over the years, murals depicting the Buddha's life have been incorporated into later renovations, although the original work of orange and green tiles, marble, and mosaic pillars were preserved. Next, please. Next is the Wat Arun. Also referred as the Temple of Dawn, this temple was built during the Ayutthaya period in the 17th century. Mount Meru, according to Buddhist cosmology, is the center of the cosmos and the temple's central inspiration. The Grand Pagoda, which stands around 70 meters tall and is intricately decorated with colored glass and Chinese porcelain, is surrounded by four smaller pagodas, each of which is decorated with seashells. The temple, which is heavily influenced by Buddhist architecture, is dedicated to the Emerald Buddha. Next, please. Next is the Grand Palace. The Grand Palace is a complex of structures that served as the royal palace of Thailand's kings. It was built in 1785 by King Phuthayotpha Chulalok or Rama the first king of the Chakri dynasty. The palace includes architectural styles from many decades as a result of its constant rebuilding over the years. The royal home is a classic example of dynasty architecture in Thailand, and it is one of the country's most popular tourist attractions. Next is the Kum Kun Fan. Built in 1894 by Major General Phra Jao Boromwongter Krom Kun Marupong Siripat, Kum Kun Fan is a so-called model Thai-style house in the central region of the country that used as the residence of the nobleman and rich people in the past. It is firstly intended to use as the governor's official residence. Kum Kun Fan is a stilt house with a high gable roof located near canals and rivers. It consists of five series of towers, Hor Klang, the middle tower, Hor Na, the front tower, Hor Sai, the left tower in the north, Hor Kwa, the right tower in the south, and Hor Yai, the big tower in the west. Next, please.
All right, so the next notable structure is the Kale House. So Kale is a traditional architectural style in the northern Thailand. So Kale House is known for its X-shaped wooden decoration above the gable. It represents the horns of water buffalo as part of the culture of the Lana Kingdom that flourished between the 13th and the 18th centuries. Houses in the northern region have to be protective against the cool climate. Thus, windows are usually small and placed only in the lateral walls, so the roof is not as deep and curved as the central region, and the ceiling is lower. So Cali is composed of two cabins joined at the ends of the rain gutter, sharing the same platform with a wooden tiles on the roof. Next slide. Next is a traditional southern house. So this is more like a modern house. Houses in the southern region are typically prone to rainy seasons and typhoons, so the structure is usually built stronger than in other regions. So heap roof or panya is the most popular roof style of the south, influenced by the colonial Dutch that spread from Indonesia and the Malay Peninsula. Manila-style gable roof or blenor and gable roofs are also visible in southern traditional Thai houses. Um, Carved ornamental in the gable and panels, roof finials, and fretwork for ventilation proof, often painted in many colors, so can be seen in South houses as influenced by Malay ethnicity. So the pose of certain houses use column bases or themes. style that provides protection against termites and moisture during the rainy season. Next slide. All right, so that concludes our presentation. Thank you everyone for listening, and also thank you guys for participating.